What's going on, people, and welcome to a brand new episode of Too Many Games and Not Enough Time, where I get to speak to incredible gamers across the globe. Thank you for all of the love. Thank you for all of the support on the channel, and keep on hitting that subscribe. Now, remember, if you want to support the channel, you can throw us some cash on Cash App, which will help us with the gaming studio. And we're going to start a Patreon very, very soon. But forget about all of that. It's all about my guest today. Yes, on today's episode of Too Many Games, I have a filmmaker, a director. We are talking a screenwriter, a comic book nerd. This guy will be living in a crime alley because he is the king of Batman. Rob, welcome to Too Many Games and Not Enough Time.
That's the best intro I've ever had in my life. I want that printed on a business card immediately, and if not, on my tombstone. That is, thank you so much for that. That is wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So we met through a mutual friend, Michael Ajin, at Comic-Con, and it's really weird. So I'm going to be honest with you. I've never told you this, yeah.
Go for it.
But there's a big gamer from he used to be a content creator for IGN, and his profile picture and yours on Instagram looks super similar. So when we first started speaking and we were talking about gaming and stuff, I thought you was him. Didn't even clock it was you. I swear, I thought you was him, and then we was going back and forth and talking, and then one day I was like, oh wow, that's Rob that I met at Comic-Con. And it's mad because we just had such a good banter. We've had really good rapport talking about gaming. So I wanted to get you on the pod. Now, as I said, we're going to talk a little bit about your Batman fan film and your love about Batman and stuff like that. But before we get into all of that, tell me a little bit of history about you when it comes to video games. Like, how did you get into it? What's the games that like kind of stand out to you? Give the people a little bit of a rundown.
Sure. So I am a 90s kid. So the Nintendo 64, GoldenEye 64 was easily the game that I replayed over and over and over again. And, you know, now we're still talking about that as like the godfather of first-person shooters. But the game that kind of started it all for me and the console was the PlayStation 1. And not Crash Bandicoot 1, not Crash Bandicoot 2, but Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped was like the first ever PlayStation game I ever owned. And man, that game still holds up. It is a masterpiece of a game. Like, just everything about the character in that world and everything else is one thing, but like it's just so much fun, that action adventure platformer. And then, you know, I was brought up around the Pokemon age as well. Had the cards, had the games, always chose Charmander. No excuses. No one chooses Bulbasaur. I mean, why would you struggle for that? You know,
why would you struggle for that? That's
why would you struggle?
Let's break some of that down. So I feel like the N64 is very beloved, but I think sometimes as human beings, we underrate how sick the games were on that console. So
absolutely.
Let's think about on one console, we had things like Mario 64, which changed 3D platformers. We had Ocarina of Time, which is one of the best Zelda games ever made. We had GoldenEye 007, which was the best James Bond game ever made. There's never been a James Bond game that is even matches that, like, incredible. So many Conker's Bad Fur Day, so many games on that system that were so incredible. And bam, Golden Gun was
yeah.
And one of the
I had the golden controller. So did I, you know. And one of the greatest things about the N64 is that was a time where it wasn't about the internet. It was about you just being around your friends, and you could have 4 controllers in at once. So 4 friends all in one room. Like Mario Kart 64, and that is classic. Crash Bandicoot is a really weird game because obviously Crash is PlayStation's icon, and Crash was what PlayStation was using to kind of take the mick out of Nintendo and stuff like that. And it's weird because Crash games didn't really connect with me. Like, I liked the mascot and I thought they were okay, but
going from the N64's Mario 64, I felt like as a platformer, they were a bit basic, but
True.
Crash is like so many people's first big gaming experience. Like the amount of people that I talk to who are like, oh, you work in gaming? I used to love games. When I was younger, I used to play Crash Bandicoot. Like it's a game that has stood this test of time. And if you think there was a lot of games on the OG PlayStation, so for that to really stand out, why do you think you loved Crash so much?
I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head already. It was the mascot himself. I mean, I just found him to be a really cool character. And I also think the villains are the big play for the game as well. Like you had Dingo Dial. I mean, also it was a wonderful insight into Australia, which is so strange to say it that way, but like Dingo Dial, the Australian accent thing, for me that was considered very strange. But then to realize, oh no, these are people that actually do exist in real life. That's it was very bizarre for me as a young age. And then you've got Neo Cortex, of course, and Engine, and also, I'm not going to lie, a big thing that came out of it, of course, was the fact that you had Crash Bandicoot with a bazooka by the end of it. I mean, who doesn't want to use a bazooka? Who doesn't want
to be a Bandicoot with a bazooka? Like that?
Exactly.
That's the sickest. All right, so you made an incredible Batman fan film called Living in Crime Alley. I really want people to check it out. It's so good. It's really dark. But what's amazing is like representation is everything for me, and we've got obviously two main black pro tags, who one could be an antagonist in it, and it's just filmed really great and stuff. What was the inspiration behind this?
So the inspiration for Living in Crime Alley, so the story itself is about a single father trying to bring up their daughter in Park Row Crime Alley, which is infamous for where Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered. And essentially that script is all about, you write what you know. I mean, take away the darker side of that, being a man dressed in a bat suit. I mean, I wish. I mean, we all have a dream, man. We all have a dream. But I am a product of a single parent upbringing. I lost my father when I was very young. I was brought up by mum. And we lived in Leytonstone in London. And if you know already, but for those who don't know, Walthamstow and Leytonstone are places. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're not the best areas to live in, especially back in those days in the 90s, and even more so now in Leytonstone now it's known for having like Alfred Hitchcock being born and raised there, one of the greatest living film directors of all time, and yet not a lot of people know that. And yet it isn't the best place to bring someone up. So I kind of essentially wrote what I knew, and at the time of writing the script I had just been made redundant, and I'd lost basically everything. I'd lost a place to live, I'd lost my job, I lost all these different things, and this was literally a creative exercise for me to just let some frustration out. And I wandered the room, and as you can see, I'm surrounded by my Batman memorabilia, and I'm wearing it literally. And I thought to myself, what would happen if you brought Batman in a situation where they couldn't help somebody who's financially struggling and that doesn't fully understand that? Because Bruce Wayne, at the end of the day, is someone who's brought up in a rich household. He's never had to survive, struggle financially. And while he's had Alfred, of course, and he hasn't had his parents, there is a level of understanding on that side of things. But the idea of financial struggle and pain within living in those circumstances is something he has never suffered with. And that's why I wrote Living in Crime Alley the way that I did.
Fam, so sick. Like, I urge people to go and watch it. I know it's a podcast. I know people gas people like, oh no, it's really, really good. It's it's something that you should experience. Now, going back to gaming, obviously you love Batman. I feel like Batman has probably had the best superhero video games. Like prior to Spider-Man on PS4's release, like nothing could talk to the Batman games when it came to thing. And we've had so many different types of Batman games. You've had the Arkham series, which is almost everyone steals that combat, having that kind of strong Batman era. And then we've had the Telltale series, where you get like a more in-depth detective, Batman, and stuff like that. What have been some of your favorite superhero games?
Besides the Batman ones, or just
It can be
general?
the Batman, or it could be something different. I was just gonna ask you about Batman, but I don't want to be too rigid. So what's your favorite like superhero games going forward? So if it is Batman, don't feel like you can't talk about that.
No, sure. No, I absolutely love the Arkham games. I think they're the ones that have really got the character right. And as you said, I don't think Batman's really had too many bad games. I mean, there's been some stinkers. Obviously, Dark Tomorrow we don't even talk about Dark Tomorrow. Like, let's just not talk about that. But other than that, I think in terms of other great superhero adaptation video games, I really liked, and I played it not too long ago because I had to read I'm a nostalgia freak as well, so I have like nostalgia Sundays. That's kind of how I bring some downtime to myself. Did you ever play the Punisher video game on PS2?
Oh, wow, you are taking it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking it back.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was brutal. Like when you played that back in the day, like literally, I think I was very like, I don't know if I felt comfortable or just like with the tone of violence that's in that game. Like you can torture people, you can like interrogate them by like, it is ridiculous. But playing it through, an adult pair of glasses now, oh my bloody God, it's out there. That's a rated R game, hard R right there. Like, and they push the envelope, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was, in certain countries where they banned it and everything else. But the story's really good. You've also got Thomas Jane, who played the Punisher in the film, voicing that character as well, which is also really, really dope because I think he got really hard done by his film. He also did this wonderful fan film called Dirty Laundry, which I would recommend as well. And in that game as well, he gives such a great performance, and the script is really tight, and the gameplay, as I said, is phenomenal. There are certain bits that don't hold up, obviously, but it's great.
I honestly wasn't expecting that, but I like it. All right, cool. I'm a big PlayStation guy, but I've been getting more into Game Pass since I got a PC. Shout out Cyberpower and Phil Spencer, Xbox. They've been spending like crazy. PlayStation have got Spider-Man exclusive. They've got the new Wolverine, which is going to be amazing. Phil watches your documentary, your short film, and he's like, I like this guy's vibe. He phones you up. He's like, look, I got $6 million for you. Pitch me your superhero game. What would your superhero game be?
Oh man, that is so tough. So I had to think about this quite a lot because I feel like there's one particular franchise that has done such a good job with this superhero genre already, and I would fundamentally ask Lego's involvement within this, because I think the Lego games are really good. I don't look like the type. Actually, let me rephrase. I do look like the person that would play Lego video games. Let's be honest, I do. And I think that it would be wonderful if they did. I mean, they've done it already with the Batman games and everything else, but I would love it if they did like the Batman movies, or at least the DC movies, in Lego form. Like, imagine, like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think this would actually help the film much more, get more appreciation. Imagine if you had Batman Forever in Lego missions, right? Imagine that.
So I'm more thinking old school. I'm thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger as
there you go,
Dr. Freeze. I'm talking Jim Carrey as. I'm talking that Batman in a Lego game would be so sick. I would love that. That would be so cool.
The puns alone with the Lego figures. Oh my, like, you could bring Arnie back, and I think he would I think he'd do it for free. Let's be honest. All you need to do is get him in a booth, give him plenty of cigars, and also, can I just say, frozen cigars, how the hell does that work in a movie? It does. For some reason, in that movie, it does. He's smoking frozen cigars. What? And that I think would be wonderful. You would have a wonderful celebration of these movies and what they've done. And yes, they've, there's been some negatives towards them, but I just think it would be really cool to be able to play your favorite moments in movies, in those movies in particular. And you don't even have to hold it back to Batman. You could do the wonderful Superman 77.
Because what's really interesting about that as well is because obviously Batman is now canon in the Lego films and the Lego movies. So Batman has his place in there, but it's not following the script of the OG movies. And like they've just done the whole Star Wars saga, like literally everything. And it's following the movies back to back with the Legos, and the puns and stuff work really well. So that's really cool. Do you know what I would really love? I'd love a really good Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, me too.
Game, a really good Wonder Woman game. And I'm talking like the full Amazon. I'm talking like a sister, everything like that. I think that would be really cool. But I wouldn't even want it based in like New York or anything. I want it based on like in their island, and you explore and stuff like that. And people try to invade, and like, so like mechanic wise, it's almost like a God of War, where you're fighting and you're throwing, and you got and then like the puzzle mechanics, you have to use her whip to get people to talk the truth and stuff like that. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's amazing. Wonder Woman meets God of War. I'm sold. I'm sold on that right there.
Same.
That's great.
We're out here pitching. You just gotta give us the budget.
Absolutely.
I forgot to say earlier, obviously, like your movie's really, really incredible. And I just want to give you your flowers and kudos to actually turning such a negative in your life to an experience that's amazing. Because obviously when we met, the first thing you said is, oh, I've got this movie, blah, blah, blah. And I watched it and instantly I was blown away. I messaged you straight away. I was like, this is so good. And that dark time in your life could have just ended up being a dark time of your life, and it just hanging over you forever. And you actually turning that into something that's creatively incredible. Like, kudos for that, man. Really, really kudos for that.
No, I really thank you so much for saying that. I really do appreciate that. And I think as any creative, you should be able to speak your voice in some way, and you should be able to speak whatever you're feeling at the time in some way. And that's the wonderful form of film and filmmaking, is that you can do that. You can bring elements of yourself into a different kind of world entirely, but you can still have an attachment in some way. But the beautiful thing about film for me is that it touches so many different audiences, and you as a filmmaker have a responsibility to tell a story which engages with so many people. So you want to make sure that you not only deliver entertainment, yes, but you want to be able to raise questions, maybe not necessarily answer them, all of them, but raise even further questions. And not just for the audiences, for them to be opening up and asking questions, but even yourself as a creative. You have to be able to challenge yourself head on. And if you're not doing that as a filmmaker or any type of artwork in particular, then you're not progressing forward.
100%. What's really interesting as well is, like, as a producer, like, I produce content, and when I watch a lot of shows, I watch the edits. So I'm watching, like, I do it all the time. Like, I'll be watching, I don't know, a movie, and I'll count how much cuts for different frames they've taken to do one scene and stuff like that. Right. How have you, really quickly, because obviously we're running out of time, really quickly, how have you found the whole cinematics of the new games? Things like The Last of Us obviously really changing how cinematics have been in games. The Last of Us, obviously the God of War being one seamless scene to the end. Just really quickly, like, how have you found how much these studios are investing in cinematics when it comes to these new games?
I think it comes back down to the kind of the writing element of things. Like, I think dedication is being definitely taken towards the writing of these games. And I'm so glad that you mentioned The Last of Us, because for me, it's easily in my top 10 video games of all time, because to me, I played a video game in which I felt so different by the end of the experience of it.
100%.
I mean, it's a 15+ hour game, or maybe depending on how well you play it, of course.
Yeah.
I died many times in that game. And I think what I've always found with video games in particular is they share the same core principle of movies, which is to deliver an immersive experience.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays we're beginning to realize that there is that correlation there, and it comes back down to the writing of making sure that we are humanizing the gameplay in which we are experiencing. And you know, there's VR, of course, and everything else, but at the end of the day, it's down to good old-fashioned screenwriting, storytelling, and that's why it's improving.
100%. Storytelling is a must. Rob, could have spoken to you all day, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us on Too Many Games, and thank you for staying to the end of the video. Remember, we have a huge competition on the channel right now, a massive giveaway. So if you want to find out how to win, stay to the end. He's been Rob, I've been Mr. Midas, you've been amazing, and we out of here. Peace. To thank you for helping us get to 2,000 subscribers. We wanted to help you on your journey to 2K subs. So we're giving away a full content creator setup or upgrade. So Elgato has niced us with an Elgato face cam, the best webcam in the game, an Elgato ring light. That light is perfect, and a Wave 1 microphone. And the wonderful people at Noble Chairs has provided us with a Hero Series Noble Chair. So this is a major prize. Now this prize is only UK based. I'm sorry for everyone in America, but this is a UK only competition. Now all you have to do to enter this competition is, firstly, you have to be subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe, and then following me and Minnie on social media. So you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter. And in the video below, all we need you to do is drop a comment. Yes, a comment about the video, and then leave your social at so we can find you. And don't forget to use our hashtags, hashtag Golden Gang and hashtag 2K subs. And that's it, and you can win this Mazza. Woo! This one's exciting.